there's two big things. There's the macro part of what this means for women's sports, women's college basketball, women's basketball. I mean, it is that tremendous. But let's focus on the game first, because this is something that, I mean, look, sometimes I think the fairest thing you can do for all sports is say, okay, what happened on the field? We get too caught up in what's going on off the field and what happens. And look, like with the Women's World Cup team, too caught up with, hey, they have the right sweatsuits on, or are they the same kind of player? They're still the same focus to win. And there was so much off the field crap with the U.S. Women's National Team during the World Cup. It's no, let's keep the criticism and let's keep the analysis on the field, because that's really what people are interested in. And that's the same thing here. It's like, yes, big moment for women's sports, but really, we passed that. Caitlin Clark, huge star. Kim Mulkey, huge, polarizing coach, right? You're talking about women's college basketball now. That's past that point where it's great. No, this is now, they're at the adult table, right? And they've been there now for a while. I can't understand, and I can't wait for Kim Mulkey's post-game press conference. Mm-hmm. I can't understand the philosophy going into this game that we're going to put Haley Van Lith on Caitlin Clark. And this is not a game Haley Van Lith is ever going to want to relive at any moment of time. She was awful tonight, right? I know she was sick coming in.
No, but that's right? One of the things that plays in the background of this.
But this is Kim Mulkey, and I don't understand the philosophy of knowing that everything else with it, coming in and thinking Haley Van Lith, who is 4 inches shorter than Caitlin Clark, can guard her. Caitlin Clark knew right away, this isn't working. She hits a 3 to start the game, and she never stopped. And, okay, that's a horrible strategy to think that can work. It's a horrible strategy. But then what's worse is sticking with it in the game when you knew it wasn't working. Like the hubris of Kim Mulkey and the arrogance that, we're just going to stick with this. Because she's not one of those coaches where, hey, the game got too big for me and I lost what I was doing and I forgot to, figure something out defensively. The fact that she put a player who just couldn't get it done for whatever reason, physically, that wasn't working. Okay, and at some point you got to realize we have to change something here. It's not working. She really still thought we're going to do it this way, and this is how we're going to win. And there's no adjustment till late in the game. Finally, when they put Flo J. Johnson on Caitlin Clark, and maybe it would have been different, but who knows? Because by then it didn't matter. And it's I for someone who is such a great coach that wins 24 plus games a year, couple times national champion, that baffles me that was her strategy going in, and then seeing it not going well. Nope, we're going to double down. We're going to keep going with that. How many times did you see Haley Van Lith running to try to get a hand in her face? Like Caitlin Clark she's not hitting these heaters. She's not hitting these step back threes. She's taking logo shots, taking comfortable threes. She is everywhere, and they couldn't keep up with her. I don't understand that Kim Mulkey. That's you want to talk about who wears the goat horns on this, and I mean goat like whose fault it was. I mean, that's really what it is. That's where this whole game comes down to. I'm like, Caitlin Clark's going, okay, eventually they're going to change. Nope. Still got Haley Van Lith on me. Nope. Gonna go. 41 points and still dished out. She had a double-double with assists as well. Kim Mulkey just blew this game for LSU.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with some of the strategy, and let's call it what it is. You got to halftime, and while it hadn't, quote, worked, you were tied. Right? You're dominating the boards. You're making some plays. Reese had a fantastic run for part of the game, and then she went ice cold after the ankle injury, right? The little run-in with Caitlin Clark under the basket. But for Van Lith, just from the outset, right, that was a big part of the buildup. Outside of Kim Mulkey was, all right, how do you guard Caitlin Clark? And they're not running a second person. They're not running a third person. And you're, like you said, you're giving up 4 inches plus. And then Flo J. Johnson, by the time she switched and put her on her, she had 4 fouls. What the hell is she going to do? She can't body her up, right? Which takes away, part of the idea of, all right, force the ball out of her hands from beyond the arc and and chase her that way. Instead, you're already done. You're cooked. And you've done a great job on the boards, and we'll get into some of those particulars as we go. But Van Lith, they're saying she could only breathe out of one nostril. She had an IV drip, all of these things. And yes, you're going to go chase Caitlin Clark around because she moves without the ball. Like, she's not a static, hey, I'm going to go spot up and eventually the thing is going to get triggered back to me. She keeps moving. She's fluid on the court, right? And that's how she breaks free for what seemed like improbable fadeaway 5 feet beyond the arc, which we know was a true arc today. which is a whole other dumb thing over the weekend. How they played games and nobody noticed this stupid thing. I mean, what are we all doing? But that's a whole other thing for I would have refused to play, and they should have. But in this case, you have someone who's given up that height so she can shoot directly over. She's not well. And then her offensive game went to hell as well.
She had a lot of You saw her and Angel Reese were jawing at each other. Haley Van Lith, it was a bad game. She probably wasn't
but it just
healthy.
Compounded on it.
And plus to stick with her as the ball dominant player during the game. Like LSU shot 28% in the second half. Like
they were 3 for 21 in the third quarter. All 3 makes were at the rim.
Look, and I get that the first half was a very frenetic pace. And it was very difficult for both teams to keep up. Mm-hmm. And you could see the team it affected more was LSU, because LSU just was not the same team in the third quarter. They didn't have as much jump. Yep. Their jumpers were short. You could tell they needed a little bit to get back into the game a little bit. And that's when Iowa really showed, hey, we got a little bit more left in the tank at that point. And that's really what it was. And the continuing, hey, you gotta figure out a point where you say, okay, this strategy that we thought we were going with, it is not working, and it's time. We gotta do something here. I mean, we have to change. This is the end of our season, and we're still gonna stick with Haley Van Lith on Caitlin Clark and not do anything till later. This is like Pete Carroll deciding to throw the football on the goal line in the fourth, saying, okay, Darrell Bevel, yes, let's throw a pass play on the goal line in the fourth quarter. Like that's the kind of, how is someone who is such an accomplished coach, how does this happen to you? How does this happen to you in a game? Because I really don't get it. And I think if you're LSU, if you're some of the other players, you're walking around saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And you're mad and you're upset. You're thinking this is why our season's over. And I really, it's that baffling to me, because I never thought for a second Kim Mulkey would be the reason why LSU would lose and Caitlin Clark and Iowa are going on. It's going to be Battle of the Titans, and it's going to be Caitlin Clark with a night like this, and one team is just going to outlast the other. And instead it was Caitlin Clark. I'm not saying she was allowed to score these points, but these weren't really difficult 41 points. This wasn't, you're working for every basket. This was, hey, I'm just coming off a screen and getting the ball and hitting something. And we're not going to do anything. I mean, like I said, she's got to say, I really can't believe this is how the night went.
Yeah, well, and look, not to rain on a 41-12-7, but you also let Clark get away with a lot of bad shots, bad decisions, turnovers, would-be turnovers, passes that got tipped that you didn't corral all the way through. That, she didn't, even with that gaudy box score, like, there was a lot watching it live going, wow, mm-hmm. Some of the decision-making. And she didn't play her cleanest game, but in the end, it's enough for a 7-point win, and at the end, LSU extended it as long as they could, and I absolutely loved it. Mm-hmm. I was there for it, for the final 2 minutes to take an hour and a half.
Oh. The Fox Sports Radio Bracket Challenge is live. See the standings, get rules now at foxsportsradio.com. 2 winners get the ultimate college sports trip for 2 with Graduate Hotels, sponsored by Tractor Supply and Graduate Hotels, where college fans stay. Well, hold on to your hats, because if you thought this was the only big highlight of the night,
okay,
you are sorely mistaken.
Tigers win?
Well, no. Tigers beating the Mets. The Mets are going to go 0-162 because the Mets stink. Absolutely. We stink. We stink out loud. It's only the first Monday of the Major League Baseball season, and already we have history. Special delivery Steve DeSager has the latest with the breaking news coming into our studio right now.
Breaking news from Fox Sports.
The Houston Astros have just pitched a no-hitter, shutting out Toronto 10-0, while the Mets are 0-4 this season.
The Mets have nothing to do with this breaking news.
If you'll let me speak. While the Mets are 0-4 this year, Houston had started 0-4 and just got their first win tonight with a guy named Ronel Blanco on the mound, who had never thrown more than 6 innings in a major league game. A guy who's 30 years old from the Dominican Republic, went 3-0 in spring training, and here tonight he walked the leadoff man, top of the first, George Springer. then retired 26 straight batters, then walked George Springer again with 2 outs in the 9th, and finally got the ending. So 7 strikeouts, 2 walks for him, 9 no-hit innings in Houston. Astros over the Blue Jays.